Ladies and gentlemen, a very special show every time Damon's out of town. You know what well I gotta tap into. I gotta go back to Justin Spears. Spears is gonna be on the show today, talking everything from T-Mac signing a brand deal to a little bit of Carter Bryant to a little bit of more Arizona football. And we have a very special guest this Thursday. Erika Day is back in studio once again. So without further ado, it's the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, drink your water, and don't go anywhere. Welcome in, folks, to the AZ Wildcats podcast. You know what that music means. It's another great episode of this podcast. And we got Justin Spears in the building, ladies and gentlemen. That is additionally how you know it is a special episode. Spears, how are we doing today?
Man, I was very, very eager to come on the show today because, Kevin, I love you. I appreciate you so much. I think you're a wonderful human being, but I do have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, boy.
And listen, man, your take on cereal being childish, get out of here with that. Come on, man. Like, who peed in your Cheerios?
I don't got Cheerios for anyone to pee in. I'm not eating Cheerios these days.
Man, I mean, honestly, Honey Bunches of Oats, some Raisin Bran. We had Derek Montilla from PHNX Diamondbacks on Spears and Ali on ESPN.
Who also famously hated that take.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's why I told him when we interviewed him, I'm like, okay, I can't wait to jump on this podcast later on. I could talk to Kevin Thomas. What is it about cereal that you don't like?
Look, my take wasn't like qualitatively about cereal. It wasn't about like whether I liked or disliked cereal. It was about who cereal is marketed towards and like the main consumers of cereal. That's all I was trying to get real about. I wasn't really trying to say, you know, cereal's bad or good or whatever. I'm not really a big cereal eater. You know what I mean? So maybe that's my own personal fault line and bias. But I think mostly there's just there's more nutritional breakfast foods. And I know people are going to be in the chat like, well, what about the protein cereals? What about all this? No one's buying those. Can I be honest? Can we just be honest here? Like, they have people that do buy those. So like, if you know someone who buys those, I don't want to see, I mean, please let me know in the chat, but I don't want to see you being like, well, my aunt loves this heart healthy cereal. So for that reason, I was the only person, Justin, I think, and my mom can attest to this. I believe I kept the grilled cheese Uncrustables, and this is not a free ad because they're not around anymore. I thought I was keeping them in business by myself as a child because I loved them so much. But no matter how much I loved them, they were taken from me because no one bought them. And so, yes, everyone's been flaming me for my cereal take this week. I'll accept it. I will be the martyr. And that's fine. But yeah, no, I don't hate cereal. I just think that it's for it's marketed for kids.
Man, nothing beats a good bowl of Frosted Flakes or Honey Nut Cheerios with a sliced up banana. I mean, that is a true adult cereal right there, man. But you know, I told Derek this. I know we got to talk about Carter Bryant and T-Mac and all that, but I was like,
you're good.
I feel like Kevin had a very bad experience with Captain Crunch. He had a bowl of Captain Crunch that just messed up the roof of his mouth a little too hard. and he was just like, I'm done with cereal, man. You now, whenever you think it's cereal, you got some PTSD. But man, I was like, childish cereal? Oh man, I can't wait to jump on with Kevin and talk about this.
Well, look, yeah, no, I didn't have a bad experience with any sharp cereals. If anything, it's soggy cereals that really, really grind my gears. And yeah, I can't waste my any more oxygen on cereal these days, Justin. And you know, air is very important. Oxygen is what we breathe, and the Air Jordan brand is a huge brand that helps, you know, Nike live just how oxygen helps us live. And T-Mac is signing with the Jordan brand. I saw your tweet about it this morning, Justin. Can you tell the people at home a little bit about that deal, at least as of what we know?
It kind of makes sense. The guy who was drafted to the Carolina Panthers, the home state of Michael Jordan, who owns the Charlotte Hornets, or is, team president and working in the front office there. So the fact that he's already connected to Carolina, I think helped him out. Also, just T-Mac and who he is, and also his new quarterback, Bryce Young, is also signed to Jordan Brand too. And so this is a cool deal for Tetairoa McMillan. When you think of Air Jordan and the Jordan Brand, you think about Michael Jordan taking a chance on Nike back in the day. If you haven't seen the movie Air, highly recommend it. It kind of goes into the history of how Michael Jordan joined Nike. And, when Michael Jordan signed with Nike, that was at a time when Nike was just an up-and-coming brand. Everyone was signing with Converse and Adidas and all these other brands, but Michael Jordan took a chance on Nike because they were going to give him like a percentage of the sales that these other brands weren't going to give them. And Michael Jordan was going to be like his own entity with Nike, where if he had joined Adidas and Converse, he just would have been another drop in the bucket. So Air Jordan turned into this billion-dollar conglomerate. I think now the net worth of the Jordan Brand is like $6.4 billion. And over the years, it has signed mostly basketball players, right? We saw Carmelo Anthony, CP3 was a Jordan Brand athlete. Russell Westbrook was also a Jordan Brand athlete. And some current guys that are more prominent, Luka Doncic, Zion Williamson. And then in recent years, Jordan Brand has ventured into other sports. In baseball, we saw Derek Jeter with the New York Yankees get that brand. CeCe Sabathia was also an Air Jordan baseball player too. And now we're starting to see it more and more in football. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Max Crosby, the list goes on and on. Deebo Samuel is also an Air Jordan athlete. And now Tetairoa McMillan is going to be the latest athlete to join that. And it's also cool too because he is the only rookie, period, only rookie to sign with the Air Jordan Brand. So I'm super happy for him. And someone commented that his touchdown grab over Travis Hunter in week 1 to begin the season might turn into an Air Jordan commercial before the game even ends, because that's how quickly Jordan and Nike work. So I'm super happy for T-Mac. And, not only did he sign with Jordan Brand, but he just signed his rookie deal with the Panthers, which is 4 years, $27.93 million. I know you guys have already talked about it on the show, but yeah, life is good for Tetairoa McMillan. T-Mac, if you're watching, I wear a size 12.
Yeah, no, I wear like a size 12, 11 and a half, depending upon the fit of the shoe. So we can hit me up, T-Mac. We can figure out the details of that going forward. And I kind of wanted to talk about this in 2 different directions. The first one I will go in will be this way. The only rookie to sign from this class with Jordan. And I feel like the cultural importance of the Jordan Brand, I think, is what really has pushed it into football past just basketball. People really see the shoes, the clothes, the logo as like something significant and something to really want to rep and feel like it ups your status, whatever, however way you want to put it. It kind of shows, I think, in my opinion, I know this is like more of a tangential thing, but it kind of shows that T-Mac truly is one of the biggest names in this class. And I know that was somewhat debated even here in the office. I know Damon was going to war for T-Mac with some of the Cardinals guys who we're saying like other players might have a bigger household name. But I think as time goes on, we're seeing that is not the case. That T-Mac is the household name, even if it's not being talked about all the time. People know exactly who he is and what he is capable of. And I think him signing with Jordan and being the only one from his class to do so, as of yet at least, kind of indicates that as well.
And I also think that the Jordan Brand, they recognized, okay, there are certain players that are drafted higher than T-Mac that are for sure going to Nike. Like they are just a straight up Nike athlete, or Adidas, or even like, a brand like Under Armour. And I think, Air Jordan or Jordan Brand, what they were looking at is like, okay, what player can we reasonably get? And I think the fact that T-Mac is such a good dude, I think that he's physically gifted. I mean, one of his best attributes as a player is that he could jump up and make catches. So the jump man logo with T-Mac totally makes sense. And I also wanted to mention that T-Mac ain't the only Arizona Wildcat to represent Jordan Brand. And do you know who the other Wildcat is, Kevin?
I can't curse on this show, but I almost said sugar honey iced tea to quote you, because I off top of my head I feel like I do know, but I can't recite it. No, please enlighten me.
Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby was signed to Jordan Brand back in the day when he was playing for the Sacramento Kings, and he's been like an ambassador. He's got some sort of connection to Air Jordan to this day. You can look up Mike Bibby's shoe collection. His collection in his house is one of the sickest sneaker collections you will ever see. So yeah, T-Mac ain't the first Wildcat to join Jordan Brand, but definitely I don't think we'll be the last. But man, I'm really happy for T-Mac, and I agree with you, Kevin. Like when you look at that Jumpman logo, I mean, a lot of us have owned pairs of Jordans. Heck, I saw a guy that was wearing some Concords, or maybe it might have been Bright 11s. I forgot what shoe it was, but he was about to propose to his girlfriend and soon-to-be fiance, and in order to prevent the creases from getting into his shoes, he's like, all right, let me take off this shoe real quick, and then prop down on one knee. The fact that he's like, I know this is the biggest moment of my life, but I'm trying to preserve my J's, shows you how valuable Jordans are. So T-Mac, like I said, size 12. People
die over Jordans. And also like on the wedding thing, like I think it's kind of interesting because that person probably knows it's a moment that if it's photographed by anyone they care about, it will live on in them and their partner's lives forever as the moment that they proposed, right? And so not only do you not want to crease the shoes or risk creasing the shoes, you don't want to forever look at that photo of the shoe creasing and as a sneakerhead be like, ugh, start cringing. That's supposed to be a photo that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside and not cringe. So
especially if it doesn't work out. Like imagine if you end up like getting a divorce.
Was it worth the crease?
I really creased up my J's for a divorce. Shoot.
Oh my God, that is crazy. Also, I wanted to say on the Mike Bibby thing, I was over here shaking my head, very disappointed in myself because I really did know that it was Mike Bibby. I forgotten. You know how I knew? I used to buy some like Jordan Brand Mike Bibby like shirts and stuff like when I was in high school, just because I thought Mike Bibby was cool before I even like decided I want to go to Arizona. And then also we recently had advertising with Gila River Resorts and Casinos for Mike Bibby's shoe collection that he showcased at Gila River. So I knew Mike Bibby was associated with Jordan Brand and my brain failed me. But that's why we have Justin Spears on the pod to let everyone know what's really going on behind the scenes. But Spears, talking a little bit more about Arizona football, I think we'd be remiss to not congratulate all the graduates from Arizona football as of recently. I know you've been covering it on your Twitter. Tristan Bounds recently graduated from Michigan. Very nice photo that you have. Check out Justin's Twitter, Justin Esports on X, I guess, wherever you want to call it these days. But can you tell us a little bit about who's graduating and, if there's any interesting stories coming out of that?
Yeah, they had 17 football players graduate today, and they had the student athlete convocation, and 17 guys walked from the U of A football team, and some of them, like the big notable names, I think I saw Dalton Johnson was on that list. He took a picture with Brent Brennan and Desiree Reed-Francois, the Arizona AD. Another one is Chuba Ma'ai, the defensive line converted offensive lineman. He was on that list as well. And then shout out to, I know he's a walk-on, and I can't recall a time that he was actually in the game, but I got to give a shout out to a fellow Cienega High School alumnus and CJ Flores for also graduating too. Heem Jones Jr., Justin Flo, who's now going to UNLV. He was a part of the graduation today. So
we're going to talk more Heem later with Erika for sure.
Heem's the best, man. I love Heem. And it was cool to see those guys graduate. And, my colleague Michael Lev pointed it out on X today that, you watch the graduation ceremony and, sometimes we get lost in NIL and revenue share and just the millions of dollars that are poured into college football. And I mean, just college athletics in general, right? I mean, the NCAA, it's $1 billion industry, but for a lot of these guys, they used their respective sport as a vehicle to get that degree and enhance their life. And even if they don't go on to play in the NFL, they are going to be very successful in life because they have a degree to fall back on. They have the resources, the connections that can help them land some pretty good careers. And so I think it's cool to see, some of these other guys who, are probably not going to play professional football. They get their degree and they're going to go on and do some great things in life. And the cool story about Tristan Bounds is I didn't see him pictured at the U of A student athlete graduation, and he might still be in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but he transferred to Arizona in December. And because his dad is a Michigan man, wanted Tristan Bounds to get that degree from Michigan. Tristan Bounds wanted to fulfill his father's dreams. And he took it upon himself to do the whole dual enroll thing where he's taking online classes at Michigan while also taking classes at the U of A. And then to fly back to Michigan to be a part of that graduation, I thought was really cool. But man, I couldn't imagine the workload that Tristan Bounds had over the last few months, where you're participating in spring ball, you're trying to get a starting spot on the team, right? You're trying to start at either right tackle or left tackle. And then, oh, by the way, you're taking 20 credits at 2 different universities. I don't envy Tristan Bounds for what he had to endure, but man, he did the damn thing. He could say he's a Michigan man officially. He got the degree from Michigan, and now he's going to write off his last season of college football playing here at the University of Arizona. So a lot of cool stories with graduation for sure.
Yeah, and Spears, before we bring Erika on, I think the first thing we're going to talk to her about is Heem himself. Can you before we get Erika in here, tell the people the origin of Heem? Because I think a lot of people don't know when we say Justin Flowe is Heem, what that even means.
Yeah, so Heem is like an alter ego that Justin Flowe created back when he was in high school. I didn't hear about it until he got to the U of A, but when he was in high school, he created this nickname Heem and wanted to create this alter ego for when he's on the field. He is not Justin Flowe. He is Heem. And eventually when he got to Arizona, after, things fell through at Oregon and, he struggled to get on the field. He struggled to stay healthy. He was looking for his next chapter at Arizona. And when we asked him about the Heem origin story, and he just talked about how Heem is it's not a superhero, it's a super villain. And I think it says a lot about the guy when he's like, I'd rather be the villain than the hero. And that's just kind of the person that Justin Flowe is. And I'm wishing him nothing but the best at UNLV. It was such an unfortunate way for him to end his Arizona career because, when he first got to the U of A, he was a freak of nature. Like, you look at him, he's like chiseled like a Greek god. He's a weight room warrior. And I thought he was going to be a badass linebacker right next to Jacob Manu. And he showed that in the early stages of the 2023 season, but he did it against run-heavy teams. And then as they got into the bulk of Pac-12 play, where they were playing against some pass-centric offenses, Justin Flowe struggled in pass coverage. He freelanced a lot of times. Justin Flowe is the kind of guy where he is see ball, get ball. I'm going to run downhill, and whoever's got the ball in their hands, I'm going to freaking flatten them and destroy them. And so that's why I always thought, like, with Danny Gonzalez now implementing a more of like a 3-3-5 defense, they're still going to do a 4-2-5. But I'm like, man, a 3-3-5, and you have that extra linebacker that's kind of more like a stand-up edge rusher, like Chase Kennedy, Riley Wilson. Those guys are going to be in that role. But I'm like, man, you put on another 20 pounds on Justin Flowe, that guy is going to be the most dominant edge rusher ever. And I think like he could be like, I compared him a little bit to like his skill set to like a Micah Parsons. And I know Micah Parsons is an all pro linebacker and he's one of the best defensive players in football, but like, being a watered down version of Micah Parsons ain't bad. I thought that's what Justin Flowe was going to get into. But unfortunately we didn't see him touch the field. And now he's looking to finish things off at UNLV. And I'm hoping that we're going to see Justin Flowe have some success in Las Vegas.
I sure hope so. And Erika Day is now here.
love
This is
team.
the first time we've had Erika and Justin on the same show.
Yes, I have actually. I've never met her before. We have this ongoing joke where a colleague of ours would always be like, "Hey, you met Erika, right? You met Erika," and I'm like, "Dude, I've met Erika the last 10 times that you brought this up." So now Erika, whenever we see each other, we're always like, "Hey, nice to meet you." So nice to meet you, Erika.
Nice to meet you, Justin. I'm feeling blessed because both of the Avengers are here. The only person that's missing is Damon Dog. And personally, that dude's got more PTO than anyone can count. So I feel like, is he really missing, or did he just choose to ex-nay himself from this conversation? Maybe he's scared of us.
Maybe. And I'm very, very happy that you would compare me to an Avenger. I think I'm more of like a Thunderbolt type. I'm not a Avenger. I'm more of like a B Avenger. I'm more like a Red Guardian. By the way, if you haven't seen Thunderbolts, it's a great movie.
I haven't. I need to make my way out there and see that. I was going to say, allegedly, Damon is on some like annual family vacation, if those even exist. I don't know what those mean. But we do, sorry, to pull behind the curtain a little bit, Justin, are one of our leaders in sales, like our sales king, Max. We call him Mr. Vacations because he's seemingly always gone, whether it's off of the Rising Pod or whether it's just, not doing whatever he needs to do. He's always, last time he was like in Africa or something. I don't know. So I feel like we need to maybe reevaluate who is truly Mr. Vacations in the office. I've seen Max's face every day for like a month and a half now. Damon, I don't know. Maybe conversations need to be had because you guys had a nice streak of one.
Mm-hmm. And all these vacations, man, and like not only vacations, but you're going to Africa, you're going to Hawaii.
No, Max went to Africa. Damon, I don't think he's ever been to Africa, but maybe Africa's next. I don't know. But
I'm like, man, what? All that PTO, the money to travel to these amazing places, like, is PHNX a front? Is it?
I don't think so. I'm not seeing the same results as maybe Damon is. Maybe Damon has his own little side thing he's doing. I don't know. Once Damon leaves the office, he can do whatever he wants, and I'm not sure what he gets into. But
waiting for that podcast with Jesse Pinkman and Walter White.
No, exactly. I just hope that Damon can, avoid the bookings. You know what I mean? That's all I got to say on that. But who is here, and we got Erika, we got Justin. Erika, is there anything that you want to know specifically from Justin? It can be about Arizona football. It can be about Arizona basketball. We've talked a little bit about T-Mac signing with Jordan. We haven't talked about Carter Bryant yet. Did you want to talk a little bit about Carter Bryant?
I do feel like that's what I've been brought here to do, is to discuss this Carter Bryant situation. And, for the first time, I actually feel like I'm coming to you from an even-keeled standpoint where I'm not feeling super frazzled one way or the other. You want to know why? Because we have Tommy Lloyd at the helm of these decisions. And at the end of the day, we can't really control what Carter's going to do. Carter's going to do whatever Carter wants to do. At the end of the day, he's I want to say 19-year-old boy, correct? And when you're depending on, I don't know if any of you have ever dated a 19-year-old or been friends with a 19-year-old boy. You're trying to depend on them for something. It's kind of tough. So, and I'm not saying anything about Carter's character at all, because Carter is a very stand-up individual. But you're, asking Carter to make one of the biggest decisions of his life, probably the biggest decision of his life at 19 years old. So I'm not feeling any type of animosity toward Carter if he does continue to stay in the draft, which does kind of feel the way it's going. And with the I'm in yesterday, I mean, how much more in do we need him to say?
Yeah. It feels like the decision to focus on just the draft has been like pretty much made, but because there still is the option to not do that and things might shake out the other way. Obviously it's not cemented official, but saying I'm completely in, and I'm going to go through the draft process. No, I'm not going to go back to college seems pretty official when the guy himself is saying it. Also to your point, Erika, I think it's really interesting that I haven't really thought about this yet, because you're right. Carter Bryant is very young, just a 19-year-old. And we have been kind of saying that if Carter Bryant returns, then that is the thing that takes Arizona from maybe Elite Eight contender to maybe national title contender. But that is a lot of pressure on a guy who, maybe not pressure is the right word. That's a lot of expectations on a guy who put up 6.5 points and like a couple boards and an assist and a half last year. Although he did show incredible potential. What does that mug say?
Oh, I don't need Google. My wife knows everything. I'm not even married.
That's great. That's great. That's great. But no, yeah, like I was saying, like the expectations being there, I feel like almost it's hard to really put that on Carter Bryant. And I was talking about this yesterday, actually, in reaction to the news of like, there's risk involved in him coming back.
Correct.
If he comes back, there's a chance that things don't go the way that we're all projecting that they will go. Right. And yeah, I think it's really interesting to have all that expectation on a player who is so unproven, but does show that high level of potential.
There's a lot of things to unpack here regarding Carter Bryant's decision. And I'm with you guys. Like I hear I'm completely in. I'm like, all right, he's in. But then, you know, you think about, okay, he's 19 years old. This generation of kids, whenever they make that declaration to that next level, they usually have a social media post that's got 100 different emojis and all the sorts of like, you know, I'm so blessed to be coached and by blah, blah, blah. I'm so blessed to know blah, blah, blah. Like you guys all know the template about guys declaring for the NBA draft or NFL draft. And we didn't see that. All it was at an NBA draft availability. And some guy was like, hey, are you declaring for the draft? And he said, yeah, I've declared for the draft. I'm in. I'm completely in. And so I take that as, okay, he's done at Arizona. He's going to stay at the NBA draft combine or in the NBA draft. And some people were like, well, I mean, he doesn't come out with a statement. I mean, it seems a little weird that he would say that at that particular point in time.
It was unceremonious is exactly what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Anticlimactic for sure.
And maybe that's just how Carter Bryant is. You know, maybe he's the kind of guy that's just like, yeah, I don't want all the attention on me on social media. Let me just go ahead and go through this process. And I could start posting after a team takes me in that first round. And I look at Carter's situation right now, and we talked about it on the show today that, you know, people are going to look at his numbers and be like, okay, you need to improve, man. You need to come back. But, you know, he was a McDonald's All-American, 5-star player, highly touted recruit, comes in. I mean, he could start at a lot of different places in college basketball, but is willing to come off the bench. It wasn't like he started and then he got benched. He was coming off the bench the entire time while Trey Townsend was starting ahead of him. Now, should Carter Bryant have played more minutes than Trey Townsend? Maybe. But I think there's something to be said about Tommy Lloyd kind of sticking with Trey Townsend, because we all know that Trey Townsend didn't have the year that we all thought he was going to have. And he struggled a lot of times because when he was at Oakland, he was the man. And now he comes to Arizona and now he's your fourth or your fifth option. And I think that was a hard adjustment for Trey Townsend. But Tommy stuck with him because he knew Carter was going to continue to develop. Carter Bryant was always going to be Carter Bryant. But if Arizona wanted to go far in March, they needed that veteran in Trey Townsend to play confident. And if Tommy Lloyd yanked Trey Townsend out of the starting lineup as quick as a lot of fans wanted him to, who knows what Trey Townsend would have been like. I mean, he could have been checked out, and then we don't see Trey Townsend for the rest of the season, and maybe we don't see March Trey come to life. And so I think it was a smart move. I think it was smart by Tommy Lloyd to stick with Trey Townsend and just allow Carter Bryant to continue to develop as a player. And, you know, Tommy doesn't really rely on freshmen a lot of times. We've seen a lot of great freshmen come through the program, and they are slowly developed over their first year. And then once that second half of the season hits, they're a big-time contributor. You know, I look at a guy like Kylan Boswell, for example. Carter Bryant, you know, it kind of in that same role where, you know, he wasn't like really the guy early on, but as the season progressed, you started to see that All-American, that highly touted player come out. And not all 6.5 points per game averages are created equal. And, you know, he averaged 6.5 coming off the bench, but was he ever a liability? No. Was he ever a cancer in the locker room? No. He showed willingness to come off the bench even when he was this highly touted player. And NBA teams are probably looking at that like, okay, he's 19 years old, wasn't a liability. He could knock shots from outside from time to time. Definitely needs to polish that up a little bit more, but isn't a bad 3-point shooter. Is a freak of nature athletically, can rise above the rim, solid defensively. I mean, he could guard positions 1 through 5. I know Arizona fans, they don't want to hear this because they want Carter Bryant to come back. But like, if I'm an NBA GM, I'm like, Carter Bryant is like my dream prospect as a first rounder, because we're going to get him to come in and he's not going to have these expectations of being the guy on a bad team. And so being a top 15 pick, top 20 pick, going to a situation to where he's going to continue to develop, make that first round money, come off the bench and be a good prospect. It's an investment. You're drafting him on his upside and his potential. And then somewhere down the road, that investment can turn into this guy being one of your franchise players, and you can sign him to that second contract. So it's really tough. And going back to my point about, how all 6.5 points per game averages aren't created equal. I look at Chance Comanche coming off the bench in that 2016-17 season. He decided to go enter the NBA draft, albeit they didn't have the transfer portal available at that time, but that guy had no business entering the NBA draft. Grant Jarrett,
let him know, Spears.
4.5 points coming off the bench as a McDonald's All-American. That guy had no business going to the NBA draft. Whereas Carter Bryant, I can see it, man. And NBA teams are starting to fall in love with him. They see his potential. They see how great of a teammate he is. And the way I look at it, I know people are like, is he coming back? Is he not? A month ago, I would have said he's coming back to Arizona. Now here I am saying that Carter Bryant is going to be an NBA player.
And I have a couple more questions about Carter Bryant for you, Spears, but we are going to have one quick break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes, give or take. Well, folks, I have to talk to you about our friends over at Empire Today. If you want a home court advantage, there is no better way to do that than with our friends over at Empire Today. We've all been to the big box stores. They're not very personable. They don't really care about what your space looks like, feels like, and overall how the flooring is going to fit in your space. That is why you choose Empire Today, because they are flooring experts. They live, breathe, but they don't eat flooring, and they're meant to help you make your home even more beautiful. Pick the right flooring and right colors for your space. See how it looks in your or in your space with your furniture. With their little visualizer tool that they do have, you can also get precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered right there, so there are no surprises when that flooring is installed. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount. $350 discount when you use promo code PHNX with our friends over at Empire Today/PHNX. For full details, restrictions do apply. And I also want to talk to you guys about Circle K. Is there anything better than a Circle K when you need it most? It is America's thirst stop, but you can do a whole lot more at Circle K than just refill your tank. You got water, sodas, all of Erika's little carbonated energy drinks that she has. The rollers are incredible as well. They have the hot food. They have a kitchen. Circle K is the spot to be. It is America's thirst stop. You can join the Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. All you got to do is put in your little phone number and email, and it will get right over to you. And then you get 25 cents off a gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off every day after that. And then when you graduate from that 3 cents class into that Heem Jones 5 cent class every day after that, with the Inner Circle rewards there. So join Inner Circle today for free by downloading that Circle K app. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for full details. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about in relation to Carter Bryant, Justin, is something I've really kind of been mulling over now that we're in the off season and I have all day to think about these things and no real games to talk about, is what could have been if things changed, right? So I was talking about VJ Edgecombe in relation to Carter Bryant. I think VJ Edgecombe's a better basketball player than Carter Bryant. I'm not trying to say that Carter Bryant is top 3, top 5 in the draft quality right now, but I'm saying VJ Edgecombe was given a lot of runway last season at Baylor, right? To be a freak athlete, learn how to dominate, learn how to utilize his raw skills. And by the end of the season, he was one of the most promising, one of the most shining players in the nation, right?
Yeah.
Carter Bryant really wasn't given the same runway to do that with his skills. Now, granted, he's not exactly the same raw athlete that VJ Edgecombe is, so it looks a little bit different out there. But I wonder, in your opinion, I'll ask Erika the same thing after, how much different, and I guess how high could Carter Bryant have possibly raised in the mock drafts if he was actually just given the runway to have more reps, right? Because minutes are the minutes, right? Whether you play the first 5 or the last 5 doesn't matter. But the reps are like what really matters, and getting Carter Bryant those reps, because we've seen he can make something work with little amount of reps. So why not give him the runway? How much higher could he have possibly been if he was more focused on this year?
I don't even think we'd be having this conversation right now. I think he'd be a bona fide top 10 pick. If he gotten the same treatment as all these other guys, but all these other guys who are freshmen that are one and dones that are going to get drafted ahead of him, they went into a situation to where they had to be the guy. Carter Bryant didn't need to be that guy. Of course, having Carter Bryant helps you, when it's all said and done, but they still had Trey Townsend. They still had Toby Awaka. They had, a couple other guys too. So Henry Vasar too, could play the 4, right? So I agree with you. I think that if he had the same runway like VJ Edgecombe, we'd be talking about him being a bona fide top 10 pick. But, he came in and developed and turned into a pretty solid player. But on the other side of that coin, what if he didn't sit back and take those mental reps coming off the bench, right? Like we've seen a lot of great freshmen, like McDonald's All-Americans, highly touted recruits. They come in and, we're expecting them to be this great player, and then they just kind of don't really turn out to be anything, right? Like, shoot, Grant Jarrett, another prime example. I'm sorry, Grant Jarrett, if you're listening to this, I'm not trying to, send a bunch of strays your way, but
yeah, Grant Jarrett was our number 1 fan until about 30 seconds ago. So I appreciate you for that.
But I think, allowing Carter to develop over time and kind of slowly ramp him up, I think that was really good for his process. Now, another thing that, Carter has to think about is, let's say a team doesn't give him a guaranteed, like a promise, we're going to take you in that top 15. Let's say a team's like, yeah, we're thinking about taking you maybe 25, somewhere in that range. If Carter Bryant's getting that kind of feedback, then I say you got to come back to Arizona, because now that you've learned to be the developmental role player, you can add that extra Infinity Stone, another Marvel reference, to the what was the glove that Thanos had?
The Infinity Gauntlet, right?
The Infinity Gauntlet, right? We've seen Carter Bryant do all these other things, and I noticed some people in the comments are talking about how in some games he struggled defensively. He did come back, and he did, right? I mean, especially against Houston, right? Some tougher opponents. Like Carter showed that he was a freshman, but every freshman goes through those freshman moments, right? Unless you're DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton was surprisingly like perfect every step of the way while he was at Arizona.
It's because he didn't care. Sorry.
Because he didn't care. Yeah. But I think Carter adding that next element to his game, coming back and being the guy at Arizona, because let's face it, even though they got Koa Pete, they got all these other headliners, Braden Burries, Jaden Bradley, Carter Bryant is the best player on Arizona if he comes back next season, and he could learn how to be a leader and how to lead a team and take that next step. But like I said, the way his offseason is going, the way he performed at the draft combine, the way NBA draft pundits are talking about him, and just kind of what he showed, he's trending towards being a top 14 pick, which is in the lottery. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Dalen Terry a little bit, like when a couple years ago, if you were to tell me, or if you were to ask me after they lost to Houston in the Sweet 16, what do you think is next for Dalen? I would have said, oh, he's coming back to Arizona. 100%. He's going to come back to Arizona. He's going to be a leader. But then he went to the combine, went through the whole draft process. Teams saw how gritty he plays, how tough he plays, the fact that he's willing to, be a defender, and, he's also kind of like a 6'7" point guard. The Chicago Bulls fell in love with that. And they also saw his upside too. They saw this untapped potential. And that's kind of where Carter is. Like, he's shown a lot of great stuff, but man, there is so much more that he can do. Let's go ahead and invest in this player now. And then let's say Carter comes into an organization or a franchise and, he's not playing the minutes that he wants to get. You could still always go down to the G League and develop against some grown-ass men, guys that are, fighting for their basketball lives, guys that are in their 30s. So Carter's got decisions to make. I think he's already made his decision by saying completely in. But I think it's always nice to have options. But the fact that NIL and revenue share is around, it gives a path for Carter to come back. But I just don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, no. And Eric, I wanted to ask you kind of something in a similar vein of Spears alluded to it on Twitter the other day, and he kind of referenced it also earlier on the show about how a month ago, if you had asked me if Carter Bryant is coming back, right, you pretty much have, outside of the interview from yesterday, you pretty much have all the same information over the last month of will he, won't he. So like, how are you feeling going into this week? And then now knowing that he's completely in on the NBA draft process, how do you think it, one, affects your confidence that the odds he ever comes back? And two, how does it affect Arizona next year, in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't like the odds of him.
Whoa.
What?
You haven't met her before. You're just going to step on my question to her like that, Justin? That's crazy, Justin.
Sorry.
That's crazy.
Sorry.
That's crazy. I'm not going to. And do we have beef? Do we have to litigate something right now? Is that?
We are doing like some boxing thing tomorrow. Maybe
we are.
Come.
Yeah, we have an all-staff boxing thing. And
maybe
technically,
we can duke it out. Yeah, we are staff.
Yeah, technically.
Last I checked. So
wait, you guys are beating each other up tomorrow?
I wouldn't put it like that. I would probably say we're having a meeting and it is at a boxing gym, and I think participation is optional.
I think it's required.
Well, attendance is required, but is participation required? That's the key.
Truthfully, I've never been to an all-staff meeting, so I'm not sure. But if there was ever a staff meeting I would want to go to, it is this one. And if Damon's not there, there's no point because I can't duke it out with a guy who's
Damon's not going to be there.
Yeah, like I just feel like if Damon was there, I would have to make the trip up to Phoenix just so we could appropriately duke it out.
Oh, you know what I get to do now? I get to actually imply
that Damon you.
Yeah, he ran off.
Woo!
He ran off. He didn't even run off. He flew off.
Oh,
different coast, different time zone. Said, see ya.
Damon Farrell don't want the smoke. Man.
Back to Carter Bryant. Back to Carter Bryant. Erika, you were saying about Carter Bryant and next year.
I'll be honest, I was really optimistic that he was going to return. I felt like the information that we had, and kind of to your guys' points about the post and just the interaction with fans and thanking your coaches and all this and the other, Carter has proven to be a guy that likes to say thank you on his way out.
Sentimental.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. He is definitely a sentimental man. And so to me, until we get that post, I'm not taking it at 100% just because that's, to me, to Justin's point, he's 19 years old. What 19-year-old guy doesn't want that engagement on his Instagram account for all the biddies to see?
And not only that, but like also his pro idols.
Correct.
Right? Like you want like the cosign from like whoever you want to play with, or like your favorite player that you knew growing up that like mentored you. You want that, right? You want like the retweet. Like he liked a post from the Celtics about Jason Tatum, for example, and like my heart hurts. But like that kind of stuff is like he just wants, I feel like you want that interaction from your idols, from people you respect, and be like, yeah, go get it, bro. Like go kill him at the next level, bro. Little salute emoji, fire emoji, flex emoji, something like that. I don't know. Whatever emojis you want. What emojis would you throw under a congratulations comment if you were like a friend of Carter Bryant, Justin?
Oh man. Probably like the purple devil emoji where he's like
a
menacing
the
grin.
Smile or the frown?
The smile.
Yeah,
for sure.
Important.
Yeah.
Very distinctive, different messaging though. You know what I mean?
Menacing grin. Like,
yeah. One is like I'm locked in, and one is like stay away from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I'm using the meditating man. I don't know. I think you guys are forgetting who we're talking about.
What did Andy
I think
just
there's
put in the chat? Andy put money bags in the chat.
Money bags is another one. The 100 emoji as well.
Yeah.
Fire emoji.
Let the man get his coin,
No, definitely. Got to get your money on.
The emoji where he's got the smoke coming out of his nose. Yeah,
That's a good one. That's a good
but,
one. That's a good
but
one.
I think the odds of Carter coming back very low. Now, how does this affect Arizona? With Carter in the roster on the roster, I mean, Arizona is a bona fide top 3, top 5 team in college basketball. Without Carter Bryant, now we're talking about Arizona being a top 10, top 15 team. Like, but they're still really good. That's the thing, is like Arizona could lose Carter Bryant, and yet they still got a pretty damn good team. Like, sure, you lose the head of the snake, the leader that is Caleb Love, but now Jaden Bradley is going to go into more of a leadership role. You got Mo Krivas, who's going to come back healthy, and if he can stay healthy, I mean, he's going to be a great player. I know a lot of people are kind of out on Mo because he hasn't really done much during his time at Arizona, but here's something that I think bodes well. You know who also struggled in his first couple of years at Arizona and also dealt with some injuries that kept him off the court? Henry Vasar. Henry Vasar was a guy that got nudged out of the rotation halfway through his freshman year because he just wasn't ready. And then he had a freak golf cart accident at a charity golf tournament and falls out of a cart, like snaps his elbow, and is out for the entire season last year. And then he comes back and we're like, okay, what is Henry Vasar going to do? Mo Krivas goes down with an injury. He's playing with essentially 1 foot against Duke and then leaves. I'll never forget Arizona fans thinking like, oh no, the sky is falling. We lost our best big man. And then Henry Vasar turned out to be a pretty solid player. So don't give up on Mo Krivas. I think Mo could be a great player. I know he's working on his outside game too, so he could be a good 3-point shooter as well as a big man.
Interesting.
And so I look at Mo Krivas as being, another great player for Arizona. And then as far as like the replacements for Carter Bryant, I mean, Koa Pete is going to be in that mix. Adding a McDonald's All-American and a 3-time Arizona Gatorade Player of the Year, that's a pretty damn good player to have on your roster. Dwayne Aristode as well, who's kind of like the forgotten recruit of this mix.
He's like the boogeyman in a way.
Yeah.
Right? Because no one's talking about him, but like if you dare speak of him, like you would better come correct. I feel like the Dwayne Aristode stands are out there. I am actually one of them. But like, no, like you're right. And I do want to like dig in on Dwayne Aristode in a second. We do have to hit a break here soon, but like defensive stopper, about built the same as Carter Bryant, if not a little bit lengthier in a way. Like I'm really excited about Dwayne Aristode. And to your point, it makes sense as to why he's the boogeyman though, because you have 2 5-star top 10, we'll call them, recruits in the nation. And then, one of the other guys is the son of the greatest basketball player of all time. Right. And so of course, like the Dutch player, the Netherlands is Dutch, right? That's what that is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You have a Dutch player who like is a lot less of a known entity in the States, I would say, from a fan perspective, right? So yeah, it totally makes sense as to why he's the boogeyman, but I'm happy about it. Let's keep him, under lock and key until conference play and we unleash him on the Big 12.
Yeah, and because not a lot of people know about him, I mean, he could be one of those international prospects that comes in and, I mean, just completely exceeds all of our expectations. Lauri Markkanen was a guy that came in and didn't have high expectations. So Dwayne Aristode, and people forget about Anthony Del Orso, man. ADO is still there.
I ain't forget.
I know people are like, Anthony Del Orso, I mean, he was a liability, but he also kind of stepped up late. And the fact that he's coming back, another veteran presence on your team, we're not asking Anthony Del Orso to be the next Carter Bryant, but that's a wing option that gives Arizona some depth. So it's nice to have Carter Bryant to come back, but I think Arizona's still in a really good spot without him.
They are indeed, and we are going to finish out this show with a little bit more basketball, some news and notes on the other side of this quick break on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like and don't go anywhere. Folks, Branded Bills. You know how to elevate your brand. Use Branded Bills with our code BBPHNX. Get 20% off of the most comfortable, stylish headwear on earth. I haven't been across the entire globe, but I don't gotta travel the globe to know that Branded Bills is the most high quality way to elevate your brand today. So anything from snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, tees, Branded Bills has you covered. They have campus collections with the U of A. You see one of them behind me. I don't know which way I'm pointing, but it's behind me, and it looks awesome. A little dad hat, stylish version. The campus collections also at the campus store. A bunch of exclusive looks there in Tucson as well. So elevate your brand with Branded Bills. I love using Branded Bills. Erica loves it. Justin, we got to get you a Branded Bills, maybe with the Phoenix on it, so you can rep. I know you would look incredibly stylish. You already do, but incredibly stylish in that Branded Bills Phoenix hat. So we're going to get one of Justin Spears, Branded Bills. Save 20% off of your Phoenix hat with code BBPHNX. And also, if you want to wear your Branded Bills somewhere stylish where you can do whatever you want within reason, because you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I recently had to stay there. It was the time of my freaking life. I went to the steakhouse, gambled a little bit. Didn't win, but I think people around me were winning, and I was happy for them being happy. So that was cool. Great drinks, great food, great live music, great vibe. Maybe even see T-Mac and the boys out there like I did on a random Sunday night, because where else would Tetairoa McMillan be on a Sunday night than Gila River Resorts and Casinos? Because it is the place to be. If it's good enough for T-Mac, top 10 overall pick, I think it's good enough for you here in my chat as well. So pop over to Gila River Resorts and Casinos, any of their 4 locations. Visit playathgila.com for more details, and check out their sportsbook as well, because I know I got some fiends in here for that. So make sure to tap in with that sports book anytime you want. And before we wrap up this show, Justin, we've talked Carter Bryant, we've talked T-Mac, we got Erica on the show today. And expert Erica, women's basketball, the WNBA draft has taken place. It has come, it has passed. We had the preseason here. The regular season is coming up shortly. But what is missing?
Wildcats. It's really tough.
Sad rar.
And Aaron McDonald just got waived by the Sparks too, man.
Aaron McDonald was waived by the Sparks, yesterday. And then this morning, Esmery Martinez was waived by the Liberty. So the riches keep growing in terms of Wildcats that are not in the WNBA. Obviously, I think last time I was on this show, I made the announcement that Helena Puello was not going to join the Phoenix Mercury due to personal reasons.
I think you did.
And, I've been yelling about this on the Mercury show, but this is one of the biggest issues with the WNBA, is that when you have a player of Helena's stature, of Helena's skill set, she is a very, very, of the 3 players I just named, Helena Puello is by far the best of the 3 basketball players. And the fact that she does not want to come.
Ooh, Spears.
I'm sorry.
Take. Spears has a take. Spears has a take.
Listen, and okay, let me rephrase.
Come to the all-staff meeting, Justin.
Yeah, we might need to box about this one. But I think of the 3 players, Helena's game is definitely a best suit for the W of the 3. And you can go watch Aaron McDonald play for the Atlanta Dream and tell me otherwise all day long, because it was not a fun sight to see. And granted, their coaching was not good either, but she was also with the Sparks last year, and it wasn't that much of an improvement. And they had Kurt Miller, who is a very great coach at the helm of their franchise. Anyways, but when you have the talents of Helena Puello that does not want to leave Spain to come to play in your league because she can make more money and have more resources in Spain than she can in the WNBA, that is the main problem with your league. And so I think, the other 2 being waived does stink for Wildcat fans, because I know a lot of you were really amped to have a Wildcat in the pro to keep your eyes on.
Same.
But I think, it's coming. And maybe one day Jada Williams will give you what you want. You know what I mean?
Okay, wait, real question. And I'll let Justin argue the point that you guys are going to argue here in a second. But I think I would count it. Like I'll root for Jada Williams regardless, right? But I wonder if the average Arizona Wildcat fan, the common, everybody, the collective, I wonder if the collective would be yeah, that's a Wildcat in the league.
I'm claiming them forever. If they come here for a year and they play, if it's a situation where they just were on the bench and they transferred out because they couldn't get enough minutes, then adios muchachos, see you never. But Jada Williams and Brea Cunningham were the team for the last 2 years. Who else am I literally thinking of when I think of the team? That's it. I mean, that's the end of the list. I mean, there are a few more that you could consider, but I mean, darn, it's them versus the world. Justin, I'm waiting for us to argue.
Round 1, fight.
Okay, so my thing about Esmery Martinez is, man, I forgot what record she set or what feats she accomplished. It was like, X amount of points and rebounds and assists, and she was like the only player in college basketball at that time to do that. So she did everything. And I'm not trying to hate on Helena Puello because she's a great defender, one of the best defenders that Arizona has ever had. But Esmery Martinez did everything as a post player. And then Ari McDonald, man. Shoot, Ari McDonald is the reason why Adia Barnes got a big-time contract at Arizona, because Ari McDonald
I know it.
put that team on her back and took Arizona to not only the Final Four, where the
national championship,
where they punched UConn in the face. They also went to a national championship, and they were one shot short of winning that whole thing. So, man, when I look at just the pecking order of the greatest basketball players in Arizona history, Ari McDonald is number one. Adia Barnes, maybe a close second, and then everybody else. So.
I totally understand what you say and why you say that. And I do agree that during their time at Arizona, Ari McDonald was the best. Yes. But I think as far as players that their game is going to translate well to the W, Ari is not that. And even Esmery, not really that. When you look at the physicality of the league, Esmery struggled in the Pac-12 greatly due to its physicality. And then as well as Ari McDonald, just her size, she either has to, and I talked about this last season on this very show, Ari either has to very much so learn how to use her size better for her in the W, or she is not going to last on a W roster. She is every time she's on the court, she's the smallest player out there, and she's oftentimes one of the slowest players out there, which we know, Arizona fans know, that is not true. Ari McDonald is not slow. She has never even heard the word slow before. So when she's out there looking slow, and it's just because of this pace of the game in which it's being played, it just doesn't really suit her very well. So I wasn't really, of all the players that got waived or didn't go to a team because of whatever reason, I was the least shocked actually about Ari. I thought Esmery had a really solid chance of making that team up in New York just because of how size is sought after in the W. There really is lacking in that 3 through 5 position. They need people badly. And so I thought Esmery might fit the cusp for New York, but obviously that didn't work out. And then Helena just decided to not come. So, I think it's tough for Wildcat fans, but there's a lot of reasons to be excited. If you need one reason to cheer, Pac-12er Jalen Sherrod, from one Division I offer to go to Colorado to now on a championship roster for the second year in a row. She was the WNBA champion last year. Need I remind you people? So I choose to just dig into my Pac-12 roots a little bit.
Conference of Champions.
Exactly. And I pull for Jalen Sherrod in New York. Unfortunately, cookie doesn't crumble positively for Wildcat fans, but that's okay.
I thought you were going to say, unfortunately, the cookie doesn't crumble far from the tree. And I was like, what does that even mean, Erika? But that's not what you said. What you said made sense. And what I said was nonsense. But I think I would, do we have a round 2? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm done with this conversation. No, I was like, I know we got a couple minutes left. I know we got a couple minutes left of the show here, but I did want to, quickly, I don't know if you guys were planning on talking about Arizona softball or some other things happening in U of A athletics. But
read my mind, Justin.
I'll let you guys get things started with softball, but I did want to give a quick shout out to Arizona men's golf. They fell a shot short of making that 5-team cut line at the NCAA regional. They were 4th going into that final round. Unfortunately for them, they shot a 6 over. They fall out of that top 5, so their season comes to an end. So shout out to Arizona men's golf and Arizona women's golf for winning the Big 12 championship. Giovanna Mayman, she was named Big 12 Coach of the Year in her first year. We talk a lot about basketball and football and all these other sports, but Arizona's golf culture, very good.
Yeah, no, very good, very strong. And also, honestly, overall, I think Arizona has really showed themselves very well in their first year in the Big 12 conference across the entirety of the athletic program, in my opinion. Now, obviously, you have your ups, you have your downs. But I think overall, Arizona has had a strong showing in their first year in the Big 12. When you look at everything that they have done, and you brought it up, you read my mind, softball, the Tucson Regional kicks off tomorrow night, I believe. Or is it tonight?
Tomorrow night, yes.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
4:30 p.m.
I think baseball kicks off their season finale tonight, their series finale. Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. That's where my wires got crossed. My diamonds got crossed there. But Friday night, The Super Regional starts up for Arizona softball. They will play Santa Clara in their first step towards the Women's College World Series. Justin, any thoughts on softball before we get out of here?
Man, they're kicking butt right now. 45 wins. That is the most in 6 years for Arizona. It's the first time that Arizona is hosting a regional since 2021. Since Caitlin Lowe has been named head coach, Arizona has not hosted a regional. And now 4 years later, they're back hosting a regional like they normally do under Mike Candrea. And this team is a lot of fun to watch because, you have this like Shohei Ohtani-esque player in Devin Netz who's getting it done in the circle as a pitcher. And she's also a great hitter too. And that's a big reason why she was named a Big 12 Player of the Year. Like, I know Nigeri Kennedy is a great player out of Texas Tech, but man, Devin Netz is a multidimensional player that's just so awesome. And so Devin Netz as the leader. And then when you look at everything else, like Arizona has, I think I'm mixing up the two statistics here maybe, but they are top 10 in ERA, or no, hitting, and they're top 15 in pitching as well in ERA. So not only are they one of the best hitting units in college softball, but they also have some of the best pitching too. And Miranda Stoddard and Sydney Stewart, and I mean they have so many great players. Shockey, Dakota Kennedy out there in left field as the Gold Glove Award winner. Like, this team is stacked from top to bottom. So even though they lost to Texas Tech in that Big 12 tournament, I think this Arizona team, they have the pieces to where if they catch fire and they have the right matchups, maybe we're talking about Arizona contending for a Women's College World Series.
And I agree with you. I really, I won't be too long-winded on it, but I really do believe that like this is a team that could make a run if things break their way. Like if they play their game and the bounces bounce their way, I think they very well could find themselves very late into the Women's College World Series bracket there. Erika, any thoughts on softball before we get out of here?
No, it really is the most wonderful time of the year for me. Like, I cannot express enough to you how much I enjoy watching softball this time of the year. And like, I'm sorry that this makes me one of those like rainy day or fair weather fans. I'm very sorry.
Not rainy day, fair weather.
There's so many other sports for me to be watching every other part of the year, but oh my goodness, do I get jazzed about the softball World Series. So I'm amped the hell up. I can't wait to annoy my roommate with God knows how many softball games in our living room. So bless up and go Cats. You know what I mean?
I do. I definitely do. And one last note on softball, less of an Arizona thing, but more of an overall sport thing. I just really appreciate from a viewing perspective because these games come on in like the middle of the day sometimes. There's 7 innings most of the time. Like that, I appreciate that so much. I was watching the last game in the hot tub. I was watching the entire game there. I didn't have to leave. It was beautiful. This show has been beautiful. Everyone in this chat is beautiful. I appreciate everyone for being here today with us, with Spears, with me, and with Erika joining us halfway through. Spears, where can they find you? Any last shout outs?
Well, you can find me in my kitchen because I'm about to go pour me a bowl of cereal and enjoy it in spite
Kevin
of
doesn't like cereal.
Oh, I know. We've had a conversation already.
We already talked about it.
So I'm going to go get some Honey Bunches of Oats. But while I'm eating on this cereal, you can follow me on X at Justin E Sports. Check out my work on Tucson.com. And also, we do a radio show every morning with my guy, Ali Farhang. The show's called Spears and Ali. Check out the Spears and Ali podcast and also find us on YouTube as well.
It's a great podcast. They recently just had Tommy Lloyd. And what was it?
Mark Weistrack, the lead singer from Midland.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the band there for a second. But yeah, very awesome pod. They do great stuff over there. Check out all of Justin's work. Great guy, funny guy. And yeah, can't wait to see him on next time. Probably when Damon's not here, probably when he's in Aruba or Cabo or something like that. You can check Erika Day out. Where, Erika?
At PHNX_Mercury on Twitter or Erika Lee Day on Twitter, either one of those. And then first post game for the Mercury season is this Saturday, probably around 9:30 p.m. And I don't know who's producing it, but word on the street is we got the best producer in the house.
I'm going to be there.
Tap in on that show 9 p.m. on Saturday. I'm super excited.
Yeah, go Merc, go Cats. It's been a pleasure having all of you on the pod today. You can follow me at Kevo Post, KEVOPOSTS. Our podcast can be found at PHNX_Wildcats. And Kobe, Who knows? Maybe I'll give you my laptop and we can figure that out. But until next time, folks, drink some water, leave a like, bear down, and go Cats. Make sure to support T-Mac's Jordan brand collab whenever it drops, because you already know it's gonna be fire.
Size.
We all silly like the mayor.